Now let's go to my favorite part, the downs of the season. So Trident, I'll let you go on this one so I don't look too monopolizing.
Oh man, let's see the downs. Actually, as I went through it, there was less than I thought, to be honest. I mean, the first down would just be the overall season. What was not positive. They missed the playoffs on a year that we thought they'd take a step forward. I think the biggest one is Ty France. I mean, I think that is hands down. If you had to say the most disappointing player for me in 2023 was Ty France. I think Gino's offense was a bit disappointing. His defense was still great. But I think that was a little disappointing. Colton Wong, the offseason, Colton Wong, AJ Pollock not working out. The injuries, I'll try not monopolize it either. Last thing I'll say too is the inconsistencies of this team. They were so streaky. And it makes sense. They had a lot of streaky players, so you expect streaky play from streaky players. But it was just hot or cold. There was just, like, September is a perfect example. They need to repeat August, but just play 500 balls. So I'll turn it over to you before I go on too much of a tangent.
They could have gone even less than 500 balls in appropriate ways, and they still would have easily won the division.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't go 500, if they even went 5 games, I don't think it was 5 games, maybe like a few games below, and that would have been fine. And before we get going, Reflect the Sun. Did I hear correctly that Ty France has signed up with JP to do Driveline this offseason? Heard something about that.
Yeah.
So that would be hopefully good. Ty France will put him some work, but I don't think he still deserves to have his position locked down. Now, the downs for me. Who's ready for my negatives? Because you guys heard it throughout the entire season. Some of you may have unsubscribed because of it, and some of you content creators refuse to talk to me because of it. But hey, it is what it is. At least one of them said that it was only because of, I guess I pulled a Jerry DePoto kind of presentation of myself. So I guess there's that. But downs would be the bullpen saw a regression, very notable regression. As much as the numbers say, yeah, but they were like top 5, top 3, maybe the best bullpen throughout the season. Yeah, the numbers are there. It's nice. But then when it came to crunch time, they gave up those runs. And then the extra innings, they were awful. They were a well below 500 team. And as much as the offense was a heavy disappointment, sometimes you just need the bullpen to still hold it down. Like, if the other team could do it, like the Dodgers or some of those other teams were able to hold it, why not the Mariners? Like, that's the one thing that bothered me was they were always just throwing the offense under the bus. Yes, I agree. Offense is absolutely streaky. Too many strikeout guys, and you cannot have too many strikeout guys in clutch situations. But the bullpen still has to do their job and give up runs. We can't just excuse that. So I won't excuse that. Other downs was injuries. Injuries did not help. Robbie Ray injury did not help. Marco Gonzalez, yes, he's bad, but at least he had an above 500 record with the team. So at least he bent but didn't break. So
I think he would have been nice to have in September, to be honest.
He definitely would have. He would have been nice because that could have gave some guys some rest. And it's too bad that Chris Flexen didn't really work out either. So that was really sad. Hey, guys, no swearing, right? Yeah, we're not.
Try not to.
About? What are we going to swear? Maybe we'll get to
my kids might be watching, so.
Yeah, I've got to be good examples. Other downs I can think. Oh, Tom Murphy, him being injured really devastated the team more than what people thought. He was a big part, at least of the half of the August. And then as soon as he was even available for all of September, that definitely put a hindrance on the offense because he was actually, dare I say it, he was actually the most consistent hitter of that entire team. And that's hard to believe that Tom Murphy was, and now he's a free agent, so it remains to be seen. And this other down, I'll say it quickly because I don't want to seem like I'm just kicking him like a dead horse. Scott Service's lineup decision-making and bullpen was also, in my opinion, terrible. I know a lot of people, I know that has a very split reception, like Mariners Mojo. I know we don't agree, but I love that you guys have 8,000 plus because you guys grinded as much as I did, probably, if not more. But Scott Service is not the guy. Like, we've had him. They got them defending them. So it's very split. But then I've noticed when I look at Twitter, I see a lot more fire Scott Service tweets. Last year, we didn't even see any of that. We were like saying he should be manager of the year. Not that I agreed with it, but the perception of service was a lot different than it was this year. Well, most of them even excused the Robbie Ray decision from last year. But anyways, so yeah, that was another down. And I will also say off season of 2023 was also terrible. As much as we got the Moneyball kind of moves to get the Justin Topa, I think Gabe Spire was also a nice little pickup there, but they didn't really make moves to impact the offense. They got Tommy LaStella as a DH, Colton Wong, where they traded Jesse Winker and Abraham Toro. And now we looking in hindsight, maybe those two guys could have actually contributed better. As much as Jesse Winker's personality didn't really fit, he at least performed when he needed to. He got on base, made the clutch hits. Just make him a DH, and we're fine. And after that, Abraham Toro could have been useful in ninth inning situations. He at least played decent with the Brewers when he was given the chance. And also, the Teoscar Hernandez trade may actually hurt the team more than what people think, because not only did we gave up Eric Swanson, who was one of our best bullpen pitchers, but now Teoscar might just end up leave for nothing. And now Eric Swanson is now, well, at least was enjoying its time in Toronto with a playoff spot, but then Toronto choked, but then that was the other thing. Oh, yeah, and then losing Carlos Santana was a big loss too, but of course, I didn't expect the management to really sign him because maybe they didn't think he would repeat, but he's still competing very well. So offseason was terrible. Yes.
I think they wanted to bring, and I'm not trying to excuse them or anything, but I think they were planning on bringing back Santana. From what I remember reading, the problem was they had, and this is not to excuse them. If anything, this is more of an indictment on the front office, but you had Winker still on the roster at the time. And then the Pirates came in and signed Santana super early in free agency. And Trevor, yeah, Winker was awful this year. So I don't care about losing Winker, but where was I going with this?
Toro.
I read the comments. I lose my train of thought. Oh, the Pirates came in and signed Santana right away. So then the Mariners were kind of stuck, and that's on them. That's not trying to make an excuse on, but I think they would have brought back Santana if the Pirates didn't jump in, right away. And I think that, I didn't mind the trades. Like, I think Colton Wong should have been an upgrade over Adam Frazier. He wasn't. But the problem is, and I kind of said this in my video earlier, if you look at free agents on a tier, like you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 free agents. Colton Wong and AJ Pollock, and I know Wong wasn't a free agent, but you know what I mean. They fall in that tier 3 to 5, probably even tier 4, tier 5. Like, you do all those, you run the risk of guys not performing. If you want to go get, Shohei Ohtani, I'm just using the name as example, and then go get a Colton Wong, fine, I'm okay with that. But that can't be your only move that you're making, especially going into next year.
You cannot make Teoscar Hernandez your marquee move. I would say that was like, when I first saw that, I said, that's a good start, but we still got to do more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't happen. And they just stopped right there. And then I remember making that video where Mariners did less than the bare minimum, and I got absolutely hammered in that. And now I kind of made a snaky comment going, I think this video is aging like fine wine. And they go, well, you posted that in like December. So how are we supposed to know? Well, I knew because I can read. I've been studying this management of the Mariners for years. I can tell how it goes. And I just happen, unfortunately, hey, read books, man. It's the book. The book is called Shipwrecked by John Wells. You got to read it. It gives you the history of Mariners ownership and management incompetence. So I was
I defended the offseason. Now, I didn't come on your videos and tell you were wrong or anything. So that wasn't me. But I've admitted I was wrong on that. I said I thought the offseason was good. My thought process was a full year of Castillo, full year of Kirby, full year of the dumper. Julio passed the rookie season, should get an upgrade at second, should be an upgrade in right field. And I thought, and the Kelenic, Pollock platoon would be better than Winker. And I thought it was going to be enough to take a 90-win team to 94, 95. But, I admit, I've said it 20 times. I was wrong on that. It certainly wasn't. I do think they were a little unlucky with how some of that worked out. But as I said before, you go to that bottom tier of free agents, and I'm just throwing Colton Wong in there too. That's the risk you run. That's the risk you're on. And they went cheap, which can work. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes the Topas, the Spires, those worked. But then to your point, like, then there's the flip side of it though too. So you got to take the good and the bad if you're gonna be cheap.
Yeah, and before we go into the next topic is when I was going into that off season of 2022 to 2023, it's not like I was asking for like Bogarts, Correa, and like those really big name guys. I was like, let's maybe get like Yoshida. I actually wanted Masataka Yoshida because when I looked at his strikeout to walk ratio, it was insane. And he actually did have a pretty good season. I think I would have trusted him more than Teoscar Hernandez. So that would have been a nice move. But it was really about just getting those decent mid-level players that are proven at least, and we've said it a lot. Get those guys that will contribute. You don't have to go after all the Boris clients that ask for like 10 to 15 year contracts, but just like maybe a little 3 to a more of a 3-year type. And the other thing too is there is still a lot of time with the core players that the Mariners do have. They still have Logan Gilbert on a club control, still Cal Raleigh, still all these other players out there, even George Kirby, they all have not signed big contracts yet. So there was time to at least commit to like a short-term plan and then worry about those guys later in the long run. And with how good this farm system is, which although it's good, it's getting a little bit thinned out with the pitching though. I mean, there's always drafts where you can always make up in case if you lose like George Kirby and Cal Raleigh. But at least in this time, with the window that the Mariners do have, and it's actually smaller than what people think, only because I just think of the Griffey years where they had a window and they completely squandered it.
Well, you always think it's bigger than it is. You always think like look at the Seahawks. I mean, and thank God they got that one.
They did.
I mean, it looked like a team, and they won that Super Bowl the next year. We thought was going to win 5-6 Super Bowls, and it's amazing how quickly a window can close. And the Mariners haven't even gotten to the pinnacle. Yeah, they just got in the playoffs. So, I mean, I'm with you 100%. Those windows are always smaller than people think.
It's small. It could drop at a drop of a dime. You could have next year, if they don't perform, you could have basically everyone demanding a trade. It's like, man, I don't want to be here. This team sucks. Let's get me out of here. And maybe you could have Scott Service completely lose this team, because there were instances where it looked like he completely lost the team, where there were times where they just didn't listen to him anymore. And sometimes you need that kind of manager that can actually lead instead of being the guy like your best friend. And sometimes that can only go so much. But that is as far as we go for the downs. And we really tried to be positive as much as possible. But if I want to do one more positive thing, how about Mike Ford? He came out of the blue.
Yeah, good call.
When we were coming off of like Cooper Hummel and like Tommy LaStella as our DHs, at least Mike Ford makes some big hits once in a while. He wasn't like Carlos Santana, but he at least came up with some big hits when it was needed. So there's that.